So I'm going to introduce now, joining us here on the program is Kasturi Banerjee. She's an actor based out of Mumbai. Also, Kavyal Sedani, who's a social media influencer, also a counselor. Very good evening, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me here on Nation tonight. It's quite disturbing, isn't it, Kasturi and Kavyal, to see this happen in our city. I'm a Mumbaiker myself, and, it is absolutely shocking to see that a foreign national had to go through this. In a place like Khar, these are places we frequent, these are places we go through these localities all the time. And to see another citizen from another country facing this, Kasturi, what did you think of it? How did you feel and how did you react?
It was absolutely shameful. I couldn't understand how can this happen in Bombay. Of course, and that also in Khar, which is so, it's considered as a posh area in Mumbai. If it was somewhere in outskirts, you can still understand. I mean, of course, you cannot have any excuse for this. But what's most hurtful is this is happening with, I mean, people who are doing it are kids. I mean, they are the future of India. I mean, India has always been very mesmerized with lighter skin color, if I can put it that way. But to see this happening in today's world, where I thought the inquisitiveness must have gone down because they have so much of exposure. But this is so cringeworthy. I mean, it is unbelievable, unacceptable, disgusting, and I don't know how.
And what does it say about our city?
Thinking?
I mean, we've always been so proud about the fact that this is a city for women. It is a city for single women. It is a city that never sleeps. We can work any work timings. I go back home very late, as you know, Kasturi. I have never felt, that there is any kind of safety concern here. And suddenly now these incidents, it's really hurting the image of the city. And how?
We take so much pride living here, always, everywhere, internationally. Whenever we've traveled, we've told our friends that this city really never sleeps, and women are really, very safe here. I was just going to mention this, one of the particular comments in Twitter. It was so hurtful because some foreign national must have written this, that India is predatory, yet India lives in denial. I mean, seriously, this is, somewhere it is true, but it really hurts.
It does. And as women living in Mumbai, to have this conversation is also important. And that's why I wanted Kavyal Sedani also with us. Kavyal, you are a social media influencer. I've seen your videos. You reach out to young people. You have a word of advice on how to conduct yourself in life, how to follow, good moral values. And you are a counselor yourself, but more importantly, you are an influencer, just like the Korean national. Tomorrow, you might want to go out to the streets, interact with people. Will these kind of incidents, will it deter you, Kavyal?
See, even according to the actual statistics in 2017, India was the 9th most dangerous country for women travelers. And yet, among all the metro cities in the country, Mumbai is still the safest. Yes, this event is absolutely regrettable, absolutely condemnable. But our country still has a lot of very, very rich heritage, and a few rotten apples do not define who we are as a nation. There are predators everywhere, but there are also good people everywhere.
Okay.
As a social media influencer myself, I have come across these bad apples, but we all have to keep in mind that just because I'm a vegetarian and I'm in a jungle doesn't mean that the lion won't eat me. We got to be prepared for all sorts of people. I think our Korean guest handled it so beautifully, with so much grace. I'm so proud of her as a person to say that this is not about religion, this is not about country, it happens everywhere. But let's also look at the fact that the Mumbai police acted so quickly, that she got so much support from everywhere. These things happen all the time, every time, with everybody. Because of social media, they are coming to light now.
But it is important to have this conversation. I'll tell you why, Kavyal. We cannot take this lying down. You know why?
Yeah.
People must understand. Sometimes it happens because people don't know any better. Take the case of Kasturi is a well-known face on Indian television. You are a social media influencer. Someone who liked you, followed you, suddenly, pounces on you, literally. Wants to take a selfie, puts an arm around you. It's uncomfortable. It's a big intrusion into your privacy. Sometimes it is done because the person doesn't even realize what a breach of privacy is all about.
Downright
So how do we
dangerous.
change that? How do we tell the younger lot that it's not how it is done? You may be the biggest fan, but there's a way, there's a decorum to be maintained.
And that is where the men, the women here need to learn from social media of who not to be and what not to do. Consent in India is always taken for granted until the mothers don't start teaching their 1-year-old boys and the 1-year-old girls also, why just the boys, that, hey, that's not your toy and you better behave yourself. And that's not how you speak to a girl, or that's not how you speak to a boy. This ain't going to change. So we need to start very, very young. We need to start taking consent very seriously in our own homes, in the homes outside. But it's also important that let these events not change who we are at the core. I mean, it would be such a shame if this beautiful guest of ours from Korea lost who she was at the core. I mean, her forgiveness, her joy, her enthusiasm for life. But these events do this kind of damage to your mental health. So yes, it's shameful, but let's all learn better from this.
Harassment, on the, just zooming out to the larger issue here, Kasturi, we have reported a number of instances, by the way, from Maharashtra. We reported an instance of a girl, a young girl, being harassed by her auto driver who made a sexual advance at her. Public spaces, whether it's public transport, auto rickshaws, buses, metros, they have to be made safe for women, isn't it? And there is a responsibility of the elected governments to do that. It's simply, I do understand what Kavyal is saying, that we as women, as young girls, also need to understand where are we stepping out, what are the precautions required. Fine, those safeguards for ourselves must be there, but doesn't the administration have a responsibility here to allow us these safe spaces when we pay taxes to them?
It cannot be government's responsibility alone, because it's, of course, it comes to the individual. Like Kavyal mentioned it very correctly, that the education has to start from home, from school. First thing, you understand what is personal space. You give another person that kind of respect. Do not, like if the consent is not there, don't come in. But if I may say, if you can see, the education background does matter. But in Bombay, in a city like Bombay, in a place like Khar, you wouldn't expect this to happen. Either they were influenced on some sort of a thing. I don't know how people can behave like this.
Yes, because, excuse me, it's a young boy here. It's a very young lad, who thought that he could take these liberties. So that is why, I would in fact urge both of you, since you have large following, to also perhaps spread this message that, when it comes to this, consent is a word which perhaps is not even understood properly. And somebody has to do the job. Maybe, people like you, Kasturi, and you, Kavyal, who have a large following, young following, can send the message across. But the message has to be understood as well, Kavyal. How do we do this? That you have to understand the concept of privacy, the concept of, you may have YouTubers now, because the things are changing, be the new celebrities. But are we going to go pounce on them in this manner?
Afrida, you're talking about men.
I'm talking to Kavyal. Kavyal, please respond. I'll come back to you, Kasturi.
Yeah, sure.
It is the job of every single person in the house to make sure that the youngest one to the oldest one in the family is, the no is reinstated and the no is respected. A lot of times, the person who says no isn't condemned, but people take offense on, how dare you say no? So women feel scared of saying no because there are repercussions. That has to change. And yes, as a social media influencer myself, I am going to take this up to whatever little space that I can take it up to, because it could save many homes, many women, many men included. It's, let's not take for granted that there are a lot of men also who are victim to sexual abuse or abuse of all sorts. But yes, it has to start very, very young. I mean, as soon as you teach ABC, you also teach NO. There's no other way out.
Boys and girls alike, right, Kasturi? I know, we have kids of the same age. We are raising boys. I'm raising a daughter as well. We have a responsibility as well here. What would you say?
Absolutely, teaching, like Aviel said, that from the very beginning. But I would also like to add the blogger, particularly here. I think what happens in India, the no comes out so loud and clear because she was nice and soft. They probably thought that, oh, okay, probably she's playing along. That could be. I mean, I'm not trying to reason out. I'm just trying to understand that, from where did they get the guts to approach and go to that extent? She was being nice and sweet when she was saying no. Probably they did not understand. That's what I'm feeling. Yeah.
So the two things that have come out in this conversation. One, like we as mothers, we are accepting that there is a responsibility to be exercised here in teaching boys really young on how to conduct themselves when it comes to approaching women. But we are also saying somewhere that the elected representatives, the governments have a responsibility simply because even much as we may try to train our boys, to educate them, they will still be, or our girls, we may warn them, there will still be the predators around, and there must be strong action taken, deterrent action taken, that no one should think that they can get away with it. Are you happy with the action taken, Kavyal, in this particular scenario?
No, I'm absolutely. From the Mumbai police, I think they acted fast, they acted well. But we cannot blame the government. Just look at our population, just look at us. It's impossible to make sure that every girl on the road is safe unless the girl knows how to keep herself safe. And that is where,
well, I disagree here. Pardon me for this. The fear of the law has to be instilled. There is no fear of the law.
That is true.
The predators that we're talking about, the perverts, think they'll get away with it. Nothing will happen to them.
The fear should be instilled.
That Sexual Harassment Act has outlawed eve teasing, voyeurism, stalking. All of these are sexual offenses. It doesn't seem like people know about it or take it seriously. That has to change as well.
I absolutely agree that the law has to be stern. They cannot get away with pushing in 10,000 rupees and getting out of their own punishments. And it is these punishments that need to be publicized further on social media, that look, each person was punished. So you better be careful next time. Plus also, I think what happened here was that she had a camera. So the boy did not just get a chance to be cool with a foreign national, but also like, oh, she was taping it. If I get away with this, that's doubly cool. I mean, I become instantly famous. But yes, we should make sure that they think about the consequences 10 times and they think hard.
Yes, absolutely. On that note, thank you so much, Kasturi Banerjee, Kavyal Sidani. Pleasure to have you on my show this evening. Thanks very much.
Thank you.